Getting your driver's license at 25. I feel like once you read that title, you immediately think about and no, I was not flooring it when I got into the car and I was starting to learn how to drive. I was unfortunately just thrown into circumstances where learning how to drive was made extremely difficult, just like a bunch of other people. So, I got my driver's permit when I was 18, but unfortunately, my parents had zero intention on buying me a car. Therefore, I saw no reason in getting a driver's license because this wasn't my Super Sweet 16 on MTV. My parents weren't gonna immediately get me a freaking car after I got my learner's permit. That shit was not happening. And you can be like, oh, you could have just gotten a job to pay for a car. No, the employment rate was like super freaking low for teens. So that shit was not going to happen either. I'm pretty sure my parents were just scared that I would learn how to drive and never come back because they literally kept me locked up as if I was Princess Peach in the fucking castle. And eventually I learned that Lana Del Rey was right. Freedom does come from the car and I don't fucking have one. So I need to nut up and get one. But obviously first I need to actually get my driver's license and learn how to freaking drive. And that's where my journey began. My parents kind of tried to teach me how to drive. They taught me some basics, but eventually they got sick of me, or they would just get scared, I guess. Or if you have Hispanic parents, eventually they will get pissed off at you and be like, I'm not teaching you how to drive. So that's how I got the 4 horsemen of the driving test apocalypse. The first horseman of this driving test apocalypse was a very, very old lady. She was very in her 80s and she could still teach people how to drive, which was surprising. Anyway, she basically just taught me how to drive straight on the streets of Puerto Rico and to not avoid potholes. For example, this is a pothole in Puerto Rico. It's so big, people got so sick of it being there that they filled it up with dirt and planted a palm tree. Oh, you basically have to decide whether you take a pothole sometimes or you crash into somebody. And she's like, yep, just go for the potholes. She would also talk a lot about how everybody around her is dying, and it would get pretty depressing. I went on the highway with her, but I feel like it doesn't really count as a highway since it's only 2 lanes. It does not compare to America.
7 years later.
The next person to teach me was my husband, and it was chill for a while.
Shut up! I'm so fucking scared right now, you shut up!
But eventually, I went onto the DMV website, and it said that your car can't have any dashboard lights on. And unfortunately, our car had almost all the dashboard lights on. Also, his car would just turn off randomly when you stopped at a stop sign or at a red light. It would just turn off. So, understandably, I had to find another instructor to teach me how to drive, and also so I could use their car during the test. So we're off to the third. He was an older American man. He literally showed up wearing like an America hat on. He took me on the highway for the first time, and it was extremely scary because it's 4 or 5 lanes instead of being just 2 lanes. My internal thoughts were, one wrong move and we're dead. Eventually, when we were on the highway, there was a giant truck that had rocks in it. And it felt like Final Destination because they all started pummeling towards us. He was like, all right, you have to switch lanes now. And I was like, oh my god. Fuck. And I did what he said, and we didn't die. And eventually, I just needed a different driving instructor that wasn't as expensive as this guy. The last instructor was by far the most useful one of them all. He was Puerto Rican, which was a great coincidence. He basically taught me the area where the driving test was done. I don't think that counts as cheating, but I don't know. He also got me a little bit paranoid that a plane was going to crash into my house, because when we were doing a little practice run, he was like, oh, did you know that right across from where you live, a plane landed on top of that building? And I was like, no fucking way. And eventually when I got home, I Googled it and it was true. And I was like, that is concerning. So eventually I take the test. I had to use his car and I passed at the solid age of
35.
And everything just magically fell into place. I became an adult and I can drive wherever I want, whenever I want. So if you're getting your driver's license at like older age, who cares? You're learning. You're trying your best. And if you have a bus or train system, you probably don't even freaking need a driver's license. Well, that's if the train system or bus system you have is actually good. Anyways.
I need to cut across 8 lane. None? I turn now. Good luck, everybody else.